Talo for love, everybody. Welcome back to our Talanoa Ako NCEA and Achievement Series 2026. Well
Last
done.
one.
We've made it
Last
to the
one.
last episode. So
Yeah, we
thank
made it.
you, everybody, for your support and for tuning in to these episodes. We hope you've learned something, and we hope we've been helpful as well. Our last episode, we'll go a quick recap on our last episode, episode 4. We talked about Wellbeing Hauora. Obviously, I'm joined by my colleague, Oliana.
Not about me this time.
Ollie, do you want to just sort of give us a quick
Yep.
recap on Wellbeing Hauora and attendance?
Yep. Hello for love, everyone. So our last session, we spoke about well-being, Hauora, and a bit of attendance. We spoke about, having or establishing routines and expectations with your child. We also spoke about, making sure they start the day good, even ending the day well. I know Sam was talking about, making sure, when his son goes to bed, making sure he's going to bed, uh, in a positive way, if that's what you want to say. Also, just I know Sam spoke a lot about men, being open, being vulnerable. That not only just men, I guess women are good at it, maybe, but just talking about your emotions and asking your child, those questions instead of those surface questions, actually asking them, going a bit deeper. And also, Sam had his counselor hat on, and he was talking to us about, you know, validating your child's, their emotions, how they're feeling. Not just, it's not about just getting to the answer, or sorry, trying to fix the problem. Okay, is going through those steps. Yeah. Anything else, Sam?
Yeah, no, thanks for that, Ollie. I think especially, we teach at our all boys school. So again, predominantly Pasifika as well. So it's really important to create a safe environment for them to be able to be vulnerable, for them to, feel comfortable sharing their emotions. Um, yeah, which is what we're trying to sort of break the intergenerational cycles of Pasifika men not talking about their feelings or not being able to talk about their feelings. So, yeah, definitely something we're working on as a society. Hopefully, that's something we can do more at home as well with our students, our kids. And yeah, I think Ollie touched on it as well, just the importance of routine and structure. We find that especially with boys, with young men, having a routine and structure really important. Just sort of sets them up, um, and they know exactly what's going to happen on any sort of certain day. Because we know what happens when there's no routine and structure. Things sort of fall apart for them as well, and they sort of lose their way. So, yeah, we found routine and structure just helps so much with our young men, especially with how their brains work, knowing exactly what's going to happen and what's coming up, what's going to be ahead. So, yeah, it sort of ties in with what we talked about before in terms of setting sort of smart goals, having a planner, having a diary. So, yeah, no, thank you for that.
Yes.
This episode we want to look at. We want to go back to literacy and numeracy. We want to talk about what support that is available. Um, we want to go over the co-requisites again. We want to explain what literacy is and what numeracy is. We want to talk about and maybe just a recap of what we've covered in each of our sessions as well. Maybe, yeah, what support is available and what years 1 to 8 will need, and obviously what years 9 to 10 will need as well. NCEA assessment, what that looks like in terms of literacy and numeracy as well. And yeah, maybe just a recap of what we've covered in our sessions. So yeah, welcome to the last episode, everybody.
Want me to
Pleasure to have
start,
you.
Sam? You want me to start with literacy? What is literacy and what is numeracy?
Yeah, we'll go there.
No,
We'll go
we'll
there.
start there. Okay, so I know you hear what literacy, what numeracy is about. So to break it down simply, like literacy is about communication. It's not just about reading a book. I was just talking to Sam about this earlier too. I'm not really a person to read books, but it's not just about reading a book. It's about being able, like when you think of like real life, reading a contract, writing a formal email, or
Mm.
understanding a news article. It's about making sure our kids can speak and write their thoughts clearly to the world. That's like, that's when I think literacy, that's what literacy is about. And numeracy, it's more than just doing sums. It's about like, using maths in real life. Can your, can your child calculate interest on a loan? Can they measure the wood or the timber needed for a fence? Can they understand a graph in a report? So, I guess we think about, all these, I've got to learn literacy and numeracy, in class and whatnot for school. But it's, we want our kids to leave school with the life, life maths, for outside of school, life English. Okay. They need this to survive and thrive. I guess as a teacher and with the juniors, with the year eights, with the year nines, the junior school, like I'm finding a lot of students missing a lot of key skills in literacy and numeracy. Even though I teach humanities, we're still writing essays and, we're researching and whatnot. And I, there's still students who can't write a paragraph, or they're still struggling to form sentences that make sense, or they don't have the sounds or the phonemic awareness to spell words. And we're starting to get onto, writing essays and, bibliographies and whatnot. And, it's hard for some of these students to do this when they don't have the basics down. And even because I teach year nine maths, and man, like the amount of students that don't know their times tables. I mean,
Yeah.
like, and I just remember now, back in our day, we wrote learn everything and we already had those skills. But, there's a lot of students today that don't know their times tables. And it's really, really important. I mean, I guess not only at school, but, even outside of the classroom, when you're going to the shops and whatnot, and I just find we're going back to the basics, teaching all this knowledge stuff, when it comes to numeracy and also, literacy. So yeah, that's what numeracy is. That's what literacy is. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Ollie. Yeah. Yeah. I think I've mentioned it in the previous episode, but yeah, that's what as part of the review, that's sort of what they've identified as an issue, is that our kids were graduating with an NCEA certificate, level 1, 2, and 3, but they still lack those foundational skills. And it's so like, as Ollie was talking there, I was just writing down different examples of like sort of real world applications. When we talk about literacy, things like filling out forms at the doctors, or like writing an email, professional email, which is what I get my boys to practice that as well. Like if you want to apply for an extension for an assessment, send me an email. And it has to be structured formally as well. You got your salutation at the beginning, you got your whoever the email is addressed to, the body of your email, and then having your salutation at the end as well. So just little things like that our kids were sort of lacking in terms of their skills, which is why they introduced those CAA. So I want to talk about those quickly again, the co-requisites. So NCEA level 1, 2, and 3, getting those 10 literacy credits from reading, 5 credits from reading, 5 credits from writing, and then your 10 credits from numeracy. So I think it's important to probably explain to parents as well, like literacy and numeracy is not just English and maths. Ollie touched on it there as well, like humanities, religious education that we have at our school, just as important as like learning your numeracy in mathematics, but also like science, calculus, physics, whatever it is. So it's not just English and it's not just maths where you get your literacy and numeracy. So really important for our parents to understand that as well. Just because they probably blame like English. Oh, my kid doesn't have literacy. It's because of their English teacher or whatever. Because literacy is the responsibility of all subjects. Numeracy is the responsibility of all subjects as well. So it's a school-wide thing. It's not just English and mathematics. So just a heads up for parents as well, in case you're sort of ready to have a go at your maths teacher, your kid's maths teacher, your kid's English teacher. So yeah, so that's why in those exams, and there'll be resources available where kids can practice past exam papers as well and have a look at what they So basically, they're looking for those skills. Whether it's writing an email, a formal email, or whether it's writing a letter to the editor regarding an issue. And in terms of numeracy, we're looking at things like, do they know how to budget? The financial literacy. Do they know how to calculate an interest rate, as Ollie mentioned? How to read like a payslip when they get paid, when they start working as well. So things like that. They were finding that our kids didn't really have those skills, and so which meant that we're a little bit behind the rest of the world of the kids at the same age, because they have all those skills ready, which is why they had to review the curriculum. And I guess it sort of makes sense, because we want our kids, being at the same level as everybody else in the world. So just in terms of the co-recs, that's what they're looking for in those CAAs. And again, it's they may get their NCEA level certificate, but if they don't have the 20 credits from the CAAs, then they won't be awarded that NCEA level certificate, even though they might have the 60 credits that they need. So, yeah, really important. We're talking to our kids about the CAAs. So obviously they happen twice a year, in May and September. So just make sure. But every school is different when they set those exams. So make sure you're just talking to your school about what the exact dates are for those, so you can prepare for them as well, help your kids study. In terms of support, like our school, we have after school workshops on a Tuesday, Thursday. That's our homework center. But also Wednesday, we're offering literacy workshop for our CAAs, and then numeracy ones we'll do that Tuesday, Thursday mornings at 8 a.m. But every school is different, so make sure you're just checking in for those dates and times for those workshops. And also how
Important,
you.
Sam. Sorry.
Yep. Yep.
Sorry. I mean, it's so important, those tutorials, or those to getting the extra help. I know,
Yeah.
like, a lot of parents, they message me or they email me, like, asking what topics are being covered, and maths this year for year
Mm.
nines. And like, I let them know, and they're like, okay. And I'm like, oh, why is that? Oh, because we want to get a tutor. We want to go and get a tutor. And I'm always telling the parents, hey, use what we have at school. I know tutors are quite expensive, and teachers, especially our teachers here at Aokura, at our school, they are so, like, they want your child to pass. They want to help you.
Yeah.
And so getting to those tutorials, I know in my older two, their school, they had lunchtime tutorials. And I think what it goes back to, Sam, is what you talk about, prioritizing. That's so important, eh? Like, what's important to you, what's important to your child? Is education important? Because if it is, you would prioritize missing a lunch, playing with your friends at lunchtime, or getting up extra early in the morning to go to the 8 a.m. tutorials, or staying back. Maybe I know a lot of the boys, I talk to them about going to study ninjas, what we call the after school tutorials. And
Mm.
they're always saying, oh, but I've got league training, or I've got rugby training, I got training. I'm like, if it was really, really important to you,
Yeah.
um, which it should be, I said you'd just give up one of those training sessions, or go to training late,
Mm.
get there later. And so, like, it comes down to prioritizing. Do you want to do well? Do you want to succeed? Is it important? Yeah. So I thought I'd just add that, because all schools have these tutorials,
Mm.
right, Sam? Like, all schools, whether it's morning, lunch, after school, all schools offer, every single school. My high school that my kids went to, they went to different high schools. They all offered tutorials. All the teachers are really there to help. So yeah, I thought I'd just add that in. Sorry, Sam.
And appreciate that. And yeah, I think just on that, just to your point there as well, like this is the teachers' time that they're giving up to. Like, they're the before school ones. Sometimes our teachers are in at like 7:30 to have a 7:30 a.m. workshop for your kids, and then obviously after school as well, from like 3:30 to about 4:30, 5, sometimes even 5 p.m. And this is our teachers' own hours. And so that should send a message to parents that, look, we're willing to do whatever to help our kids as well, but we also need our parents' support too. So at home, just sort of prioritizing your kids' assessments, their study. We talked about that as well, like giving them a quiet space to work as well. Um, and the time management, just talking to your kids about time management, that's really important. So there's lots of support for parents that you can do to help your kids. And obviously, like, look for opportunities at home. So help maybe get your kids to help with the budgeting, your weekly budget or whatever it is. If you're budgeting at home, help them. Look, we've got $200 for our grocery shopping. How should we, sort of delegate the funds? What's important? What do we need to buy? Like that, having those conversations with them, introducing to that early, like, helps them with like their numeracy and obviously their financial literacy as well. So yeah, just getting them involved, having those conversations with them, like we said, in terms of co-order and well-being, like our financial well-being is just as important as well. And so getting kids to understand that early, like, helps them to, when they become adults, they know how to manage their money and their finances too. So because they've had all this practice when they're grown up. So I think that's important as well for our kids to learn that too. So yeah, thank you for talking about literacy and numeracy, Ollie. Hopefully your parents have learned that as well. What else we've got here? So maybe, I guess, a recap on the years, maybe 1 to 8.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess a bit of recap. I know we spoke about it in earlier sessions. That new, like, the years 1 to 8, they spend, so starting this year, they spend 1 hour reading and writing each day, and they spend 1 hour on maths each day. So that's every school, whether you're in, Auckland, you're in Mangere, or you're in Dunedin. So that happens across New Zealand. And I know, I guess, for years 9 and 10 students, teachers are, I guess, they're focused heavily on the skills, in every subject to make sure that they are ready for those co-requisites, those tests, when they do get to sit it. So yeah, that just a bit of recap on that 1 hour rule.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, as Ollie mentioned, the same with years 9 and 10. We want to give them those necessary skills, so when they get to the senior school, year 11 to 13, they know exactly. So I guess most schools are different. For our school, we have a junior diploma, and so for us, that sort of mirrors the NCEA system, where they start having those conversations and that dialogue. They have the same language as the seniors, so they know what credits are. They know what an endorsement is. They know how to get an endorsement. It pretty much mirrors the NCEA system as well. So other schools may be different. They might do different things, but just for our school, we have a junior diploma that mirrors the senior NCEA system. So by the time they get to the senior school, they already have that language of achievement standards, unit standards, achieve merit and excellence. So yeah, hopefully that is the same across schools, but I know other schools are different as well. But I know they'll use the same sort of language in terms of like how assessments are submitted, how they're graded as well, the feedback that they get, feed forward, and obviously the difference between internal assessments and external assessments. That's all sort of covered in years 9 and 10. So, it's not new information when they get to the senior school. It's stuff that they've sort of practiced over the last couple of years as well. So, yeah, for our years 9 and 10, we sort of focus on teaching them the language and obviously the skills. So when they get to NCEA, they know exactly what to expect.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, I know you covered it earlier. Just a bit of a recap. I know you said, don't go to your English teacher if your son's, like, struggling in English or not doing so good. I know. So what does this look like? Can they earn literacy credits in other subjects?
Yep. So yeah, like I mentioned, so literacy is the responsibility of all subjects, not just English. And so yeah, when they get to NCEA, literacy can be in all of their subjects. So whether that's writing a scientific report in science, or whether it's a research report in humanities, or
History,
whether that's or history or geography as well, or whether that's creating a graph for in English as well. So all of these skills sort of transferable, whether that's in English or maths or science, religious education, humanities, history, whatever it is. all of these skills are transferable between all of them, and it focuses on literacy and numeracy. Whereas before, it was kind of like pigeonholed. So everything about reading and writing, that's only in English or
English.
social studies, and everything about numbers is maths and science. So yeah, I guess that's sort of creating well-rounded students, so that whatever pathway they choose when they leave school, they'll have the foundational skills in literacy and numeracy. So they're
Correct.
not it's not a surprise for them,
And also
to.
yeah, sorry, they get to see like that these schools are part of everything that they do.
Mm,
Not just see just the maths and English, but it's
yeah.
it's everything. Yeah.
And I think that's important for parents to understand as well, that we're trying to build well-rounded students who can achieve in whatever career pathway they choose, and not just sort of pigeonholed into one area, and they only have like a certain set of skills just for that one particular area. Whereas we want to create school leavers who are well-rounded, that they can, whatever field they choose to go in, they have all these skills already, these foundational skills ready to go. So, yeah, no, I think that's a good recap for that one as well. We want to build students who, when they leave school, they've got a qualification that's recognized globally, and they have the foundational skills to match as well. So,
Definitely. Especially if like they want to move overseas, like say they want to go to Australia or they want to go to England later, we want their skills to be just as strong as everyone else's in the
yeah,
world. You
yeah.
know what I mean? So yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Sam. So I think we've come to the conclusion of the session, eh? Of
Mm.
this session. What has been like your favorite session these last 5 weeks? What has been, or I guess, your favorite you would like everyone to take away?
Oh, I think we might have the same one, but I think it's the definitely the well-being and Hauora. I really like that episode, and just sort of what we covered there as well. But just the importance of our kids' well-being. Um, you know, I think I mentioned it before, but like, we expect our kids to perform miracles sometimes, but we haven't given them the tools to like be able to navigate their own emotions, plus juggling their school assessments, and then their commitments outside of school, whether that's for church or for sporting. Um, and we need to give them the tools to be able to manage their own well being, while trying to navigate all of these things as well. So I think that was definitely my favorite episode, of what we covered, and I think it's really important that we look after our kids' well being, because we want them to be successful, but we also want them to be like good human beings as well, to have empathy and to have compassion. And that obviously starts with themselves, and obviously the environment that's built at home as well. So that's definitely my favorite episode. What about you?
Yeah, same here, Sam.
Yeah.
I think well-being is so important. I mean, it's how it shapes it's how it shapes a person. And I guess like we spoke about, you and I, especially as parents, we're trying to unlearn things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, we're not perfect. We don't have the answers, but we're trying to unlearn things. We're trying to do better. And I feel it's really important, as a parent, um, to listen. If I'm going to think of a word, that I can encourage you to do, it'll be to listen. So
Mm.
listen to your tamariki, and like I used to do with my kids, no judgments passed, no questions asked. Sometimes you need that. Sometimes, I just think about like if I was a child and if I was younger, if I had like a session just to do that, just to have that, because sometimes our kids need that. They
Mm.
just need to have that person, that can just listen. Of course, be their friends and whatnot around, but how cool is that if you can just go to go to my mum or my dad, and it's gonna
Yeah.
just tell them everything. And I was pretty cool. Like I had that relationship with my nana. I was able to tell her my grandpa. Oh no, heck no, not my grandpa. But you know, before my nana passed away and stuff, I was able to like, talk to her about, some things, especially some personal things. So having an adult, especially a parent, where you can just go and, uh, you know, just um just talk to and to talk about the emotions, I think it's it's a wonderful thing to have. So yeah,
So
parents,
powerful.
yeah, definitely. So yeah, parents listen and talk about emotions. I know we always want our tamariki to talk, but even you yourself.
Mm,
It's so, it's so cool to like, even if you are sharing experiences and what worked for you, sharing that with your child. I know a lot of us parents are like, they try and keep all that stuff, inside. Oh no, I better not share them. But
yeah,
there's a time and place, and as a child, sometimes you need to hear that. Oh, my mom is, she's just normal then, she's
yeah,
not like trying to, yeah. But yeah, that was my favorite session to
yeah,
Sam, was the Hauora and well-being, because we know that's so important. Like you spoke about, if you start chaotic, especially in the day, like your day will be pretty chaotic, sorry. And being in the class with kids and you talk to kids, you talk to some of the tamariki, and then some of them, didn't have breakfast, or, they lost something and they were rushing this morning, that all plays a big part, and,
yeah.
during the day, especially when they settle in, or they're still unsettled and whatnot. And so, yeah, if you can start the morning right, start the
Yeah.
day right. Sorry, that's a
I
good
think
one.
probably something that we didn't talk about as well is like obviously the importance of having a good sleep, but also like a balanced diet as well. Like obviously for us at our school, we got the bakery up the road, and so a lot of our boys, that's their breakfast,
Oh,
the
dear.
pie and
Yeah.
an energy drink for breakfast, and then obviously by it comes to like 1 p.m. in the afternoon, they've already crashed.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to teach our kids about having a balanced diet as well, like just fueling our body with the right things so that we can perform at our best. A good old analogy that they used to use is like, imagine your body as a car. You can take it to the petrol station, and you might put in the wrong fuel, so it'll fill up your car, but the car won't work because you're running on the wrong fuel. So I guess that's a good analogy for the food as well, like what we put into our bodies. And I think especially for young people as well, with how their bodies work, they're already running on like 3 hours sleep. So, compounding that error by like giving them the wrong food just doesn't set them up well. So, just having a balanced diet and teaching them about diet as well. And that's probably something that, as Pasifika parents, we probably don't know either. So,
Yeah.
probably educating ourselves first so we can be able to educate our kids on like the right things to put in our bodies, and then obviously having enough rest and sleep as well. So, yeah, definitely looking after their well-being is super important to creating kids, because they obviously can't learn if they're
Yeah.
running on like low sleep and then not eating properly as well. We can't really do our jobs of teaching them um,
It's our job
whatever.
harder.
Yeah, it just
You
makes
know
our
what I
job
mean?
hard because
Yeah.
they've already lost before they've
Mm,
gone into the classroom. So yeah, I think
awesome.
as parents, just remembering that as well, like just setting them up well for the day, by giving them the right foods, making sure they've had enough rest, creating a calm environment at home. So when they get to school, man, all they're ready to learn. They've already done the work at home, and so they just come to school ready to learn. Helps their brains work a lot better, and then they'll be able to learn better as well. So yeah,
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. I think we've come to the end of our session, our last session. Oh, sad. Our last Talanoa Ako NCEA series session. But before that, just like any other information you need or videos, especially on the co-requisites, you can download the Talanoa Ako, the digital app, from the Google Play Store. It's got lots of NCA info in there as well. So yeah, just before we close off, there's just a few people we want to thank. From the Ministry of Education, we'd like to thank Mark and Gabby. Thank you for trying to push these series, especially for our Pasifika Ainga, our family. Also, Marlo for his audio engineering expertise skills, and especially to my host here, co-host Sam, for his expertise. Not just as a teacher, parent, but also as a counselor. So he's got a counselor hat on as well. Is there anything you want to say, Sam?
yeah. No, just thank you very much, Ollie, for having me on. Thank you to Malo, Mark, and obviously Gabby as well. But just thank you to our parents for tuning in. If you're here, that means that you want to take the next steps to helping our kids become better. So we thank you for that as well. Obviously, check in on all the resources that are available. Use all the resources that are available, whether that's your teachers, the school, the online resources as well. Making sure we're keeping that talanoa with our kids, so we don't lose them. But yeah, just thank you everybody for your time, and thank you for tuning in.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. Have an amazing Easter. And may we also remember the real season for this Easter season. Stay safe and remember
God
you've got
bless
this.
everybody.
So
Thank
far,
you.
sweet for.
Also for